The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side. Doug Billings here with you. So the topic that's on everyone's mind, it's going on in the Middle East. It's on everybody's mind. Operation Epic Fury, the joint United States and Israel strike on Iran's nuclear sites and terror infrastructure. So let me tell you, this is not some knee-jerk scattershot reaction or a favor to anybody overseas, this action. This is about America first, plain and simple. And it's not that difficult to understand. And the reason that so many influencers, especially the tier one level, are freaking out about it is really, it's surprising, and it's a problem. So this is about protecting our families, folks. It's about protecting our troops, our way of life, from a regime that's been thumbing its nose at the world for decades. Okay, so more than that, it's morally justified to do what we're doing. I mean, for the love of God, it is obligatory under the principles that have guided civilized nations for centuries. Now, I know that some of you might be scratching your heads, especially if you've been listening to certain podcasters and influencers out there who seem to be singing from the same hymn sheet lately. So now take Megyn Kelly, for example, who I admire, and I usually see eye to eye on topics like this. But she's out there on her show saying things like, well, it feels like our troops didn't die for America. It feels as if this action benefits Israel and not America. Come on, Megyn. Really? I mean, those brave soldiers who gave their lives, they died to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb that could wipe out cities, not to mention destabilize the entire region over there and put a target on every American's back. That's not some abstract benefit to somebody else. That's defending our homeland from a clear and present danger. And when she says, well, I don't think President Trump has given an adequate explanation as to what we're doing in Iran, well, I mean, I say he's been crystal clear, Megyn. This is about disarming a rogue state before they arm themselves with the ultimate weapon of mass destruction. So I'll break it down because I think Megyn and a lot of these so-called tier one voices are missing the forest for the trees here. Or maybe they're just chasing clicks by stirring the pot. I don't know, but she talks about there being no imminent threat to the United States from Iran, as if an imminent threat has to be missiles already in the air or boots storming our beaches. Everybody, wake up. An imminent threat is staring us right in the face with that credible IAEA report that confirmed Iran had stockpiled about 970 pounds of uranium that has been enriched to about 60%, which is nearly just a hair fraction away from weapons grade enough raw material to crank out at least 10 nuclear bombs if they push it just a little bit further. And they're doing it underground at the places that we've all heard about: Isfahan, Natanz, and Fordow, where they've kicked out inspectors. They don't let anybody in. They've slammed the door on any transparency. So if that's not imminent, ladies and gentlemen, then what is? Are we supposed to sit on our hands and say, well, they were close to a nuke, but we can't prove that they were going to use it on anybody else, so I guess we'll just pack up and leave? That is not strategy, ladies and gentlemen. That's suicide. And don't get me started on the freak out over President Trump saying, well, if boots on the ground are needed to accomplish the goal, I won't rule that out. Look, anyone with a shred of intellectual maturity gets this. Trump's being straightforward with us. He's always been the guy who levels with the American people. But he's also said that this operation is likely to wrap up in 4 to 8 weeks, focused on precision strikes to take out the nuclear threat, the missile sites, and the regime targets. No endless war, no nation-building nonsense. This is smart, targeted action to degrade their capabilities before they degrade ours. Waiting for a mushroom cloud, ladies and gentlemen, isn't the cue to act. It's the cue that we failed. So let's talk about why this isn't just for Israel. Sure, we've partnered with them. All right, I know it's very fashionable out there to hate Israel today. Why wouldn't we partner with them? Israel's on the front lines taking the brunt of Iran's proxy attacks through Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. Those groups, my friends, have killed Americans. They've fired thousands of rockets and they've hit our bases. It doesn't matter if any of that happened in 79, 82, 88, 94, or today. Make no mistake, a nuclear Iran threatens everybody. It empowers terrorists worldwide, and it chokes off global shipping lanes and spikes energy prices that hit us in our wallets right here at home. And not to mention that it gives China and Russia a dangerous friend to poke at us. So our troops aren't dying for foreign soil. They're fighting to keep nukes out of the hands of fanatics who chant death to America. This is our fight, and we're partnered with a strong friend who's got the intel and the guts to join us. It's America leading, not following. So there's this new cool and sexy trend out there among the podcast crowd. Let's all condemn Israel at every opportunity. And what they put forth is 90% garbage and speculation that's only designed for clicks, not credibility. But here's where it gets real interesting. And this is something that I addressed directly to His Holiness Pope Leo on X just the other day. My post laid out the Catholic and Christian justification for these strikes, and it caught some eyes, including over at the Gateway Pundit, where they covered the Pope's weigh-in on the whole mess. They posted my response. Actor Robert Davi also reposted it. So Pope Leo is calling for a dialogue and for peace, and that is noble. But let's get real, Holy Father. 40 years of talks, of sanctions, that the absolutely ridiculous JCPOA, the deal that Iran cheated on from day one, and even those last-ditch efforts that we saw last week in Geneva, just days before the strikes, they were all exhausted. Everything that we've done since the time of Ronald Reagan to today, almost 50 years, Iran has refused to meet us in discussions in good faith. They've refused zero enrichment. They've blocked inspectors. They've kept enriching. And as a faithful Catholic, I see through all of this with the lens of the just war doctrine, straight from the Catechism and the Church's teachings. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, there's grave, lasting, and certain damage from the aggressor. Iran is at the top of the state sponsor of terrorism, according to our State Department in the United States. And it says so year after year. They've armed killers who've taken American lives. And that uranium stockpile, look, it's not for, powering streetlights. It's for bombs. A nuclear Iran isn't hypothetical. It's knocking on the door, an existential threat to our allies and a direct one to us. The second justification is that all other means are shot. Folks, diplomacy has been tried and failed because Tehran won't budge. The Church itself says that when peaceful options flop, it's legitimate, it's even obligatory to disarm the aggressor. The third component of moral justification is that there's got to be serious prospect of success. So these aren't wild shots in the dark. They're precision operations with high-tech gear, degrading their program without dragging us into a quagmire. And the fourth portion of the moral justification, proportionality. We're taking targeted strikes on military and nuclear sites. We're not carpet bombing cities here. The evil of letting Iran go nuclear with their proxy wars and everything else, persecuted minorities, global chaos, killing their own citizens, it far outweighs the controlled response that we're seeing. And as a bonus fact for moral justification, think about the persecuted Christians in Iran. In 2025 alone, hundreds of them were arrested and sentenced to brutal prison terms simply for being Christian. Churches were raided, Bibles have been banned and burned. So defending them is not optional. It's the gospel in action, just like the Good Samaritan stepping up. This isn't conquest or vengeance either. It's defense of the innocent against a tyrant who's rejected every off-ramp. The church has never ordered us to be pacifists in the face of evil. St. Augustine, St. Aquinas, they both made it clear. Supporting this is to protect lives and to seek real justice. That is fully Catholic, fully Christian, fully American. You know, it almost feels like these big name podcasters and influencers huddle up, have a Zoom call, a conference call. They pick a narrative to push. And then one of them says, is this all for Israel? That's it. That's what we're going to go with. And then suddenly everybody's echoing it like it's gospel. The second and the third tier folks pile on soon after, wanting to be part of the cool crowd, chasing retweets instead of truth. You've seen it for a long time, ladies and gentlemen. But here's the deal. Facts don't care about trends. Evidence shows this operation is necessary, it's justified, and it's in our national interest. We've got reports from the IAEA. We've got the State Department designations, years of failed talks. It's all there if you'd look beyond the sound bites. And President Trump's got this. He's the guy who brought peace through strength before, and he's doing it again. No apologies for defending America. If Meghan or anybody else wants to question that, fine. But let's base it in reality, not feelings or half-baked doubts. That's where I stand on this. We've got to really support the president and support each other. That's my take on Operation Epic Fury, folks. Moral authority? Check. Justification? It's ironclad. And is it for America? Absolutely. So if you're with me, or maybe if you're not, hit that like button, share, subscribe, comment. Share it with somebody who's buying the doubters in their line. And if you like it, especially, I would encourage you to subscribe. It's all free over on YouTube. Just search at the right side Doug Billings. At the right side Doug Billings over on YouTube. And you can catch me every Monday through Friday from noon to 2 o'clock Central Time on the Real Talk Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean it when I say we're in this together. We've got to believe that. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show, Doug Billings. Hey, my good friends at EMP Shield, that's electromagnetic pulse, in case you're from Raytown, Missouri. Electromagnetic pulse could wipe out your home electrical system, could wipe out your vehicle. And thanks to the radical liberal agenda that was put forth under Administrator Biden and Vice Pretender Harris, there are lots of people in this country who want to do us harm. And maybe an EMP device would be their chosen weapon. But EMP Shield gives you a device that can protect you. This little baby here goes on your home outlets, a computer, a router, whatever you want to protect. And then they also have a larger model like this. You can still hold it in the palm of your hand that goes on your vehicle battery so that you can get out of trouble from point A to point B. EMPshield.com. Promo code Doug, ladies and gentlemen. Save yourself. Save your property. EMPshield.com. Promo code Doug. We're in this together, folks. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.